Florida man set for execution, the Michael Tanzi case. Did Michael Tanzi deserve the death penalty? We delve into the brutal details of the Janet Acosta murder, the legal proceedings, and the arguments surrounding his impending execution. Prepare to examine the evidence and legal precedents that have led to this moment. Give a like, subscribe. Janet Acosta's nightmare began on a seemingly ordinary day in April 2000. She was sitting in her parked van in Miami, unaware of the terror that was about to unfold. This case is a stark reminder of the vulnerability we all share. Tanzi attacked Acosta, brandishing a razor blade and threatening her life. He punched her repeatedly in the face until he forced his way into the van. This initial act of violence set the stage for the horrific events that followed. Tanzi bound and gagged Acosta, silencing her cries for help. He threatened to cut her if she made any noise, further isolating her in her terror. The journey south became a slow, agonizing descent into unimaginable horror. He stole her meager $53 in cash, a pathetic sum compared to the value of a human life. He then brazenly bought cigarettes and soda, seemingly unfazed by the gravity of his actions. The audacity is shocking. Tanzi attempted to use Acosta's bank card, revealing a calculated plan to exploit his victim. His actions demonstrate a chilling disregard for her humanity and a focus on personal gain. This was more than just a crime of passion. He forced Acosta to perform oral sex, a further act of degradation and control. He stopped her only because her teeth were loose from the earlier beating, a detail that highlights the brutality of the assault. The depravity is truly disturbing. He withdrew money from Acosta's bank account in Tavernier, continuing his financial exploitation. He then purchased duct tape and razor blades at a hardware store, foreshadowing the gruesome acts to come. The premeditation is undeniable. Tanzi drove to an isolated area of Cudjoe Key, a place known as Blimp Road. Here, in the darkness, he revealed his ultimate intention, to kill her. The isolation of the location only amplified the horror. He told Acosta he was going to kill her, stripping away any remaining hope. He strangled her with rope, a slow and agonizing method of murder. The cruelty is almost incomprehensible. He taped her mouth, nose, and eyes to stifle any noise, ensuring her silence in death. He continued strangling her until she died, extinguishing her life in a brutal and calculated manner. The finality of the act is chilling. He disposed of her body in a secluded area, attempting to conceal his crime. But his efforts would ultimately prove futile, as the truth would eventually surface. Justice would eventually find him. Tanzi drove to Key West, seemingly unburdened by the horrific act he had just committed. He shopped, ate, smoked marijuana, and visited friends, as if nothing had happened. The disconnect is deeply unsettling. He used Acosta's ATM card, continuing his exploitation even after her death. He planned to access more money, sleep in a hotel, purchase drugs, and alter the van's appearance, revealing a calculated and self-serving mindset. His actions are a testament to his callousness. Acosta's friends reported her missing, triggering a police investigation. The search for Janet Acosta began, fueled by the hope of her safe return. But the reality was far more grim. Police recognized Acosta's van in Key West, leading to Tanzi's apprehension. The net was closing in. His freedom was about to end. Tanzi was arrested while returning to the van, his days of freedom numbered. He had ATM withdrawal and purchase receipts in his pocket, providing damning evidence of his guilt. The evidence was mounting against him. Tanzi stated he knew what this was about, and wanted to talk about bad things he had done, signaling a willingness to confess. Perhaps a sense of guilt, or perhaps a calculated move, motivated his words. He confessed to assault, abduction, robbery, sexual battery, and murder, laying bare the details of his heinous crimes. He repeated the confession with greater detail on audio and videotape, providing irrefutable evidence of his guilt. The confession sealed his fate. He showed police where he disposed of the body, duct tape, and rope, further solidifying his confession. His cooperation, however, did not diminish the gravity of his crimes. The evidence was overwhelming. Tanzi was indicted for first-degree murder, the most serious charge in the legal system. He was also charged with carjacking, kidnapping, armed robbery, and sexual battery, reflecting the scope of his crimes. The legal process began. He initially pleaded not guilty, but then pleaded guilty to murder, carjacking, kidnapping, and armed robbery. The 2 remaining sexual battery counts were severed, simplifying the legal proceedings. The guilty plea was a significant turning point. Defense counsel moved to waive the penalty phase jury, but the judge denied the motion. Tanzi argued pro se that he should have a jury determine his guilt, creating a legal challenge. The legal maneuvering began. The judge did not rule on Tanzi's oral motion to withdraw his plea, adding another layer of complexity to the case. The case proceeded to the penalty phase before a jury, setting the stage for the sentencing decision. The legal drama unfolded. The jury unanimously recommended a death sentence, reflecting the gravity of the crimes and the impact on the community. The court sentenced Tanzi to death, the ultimate punishment under the law. Justice was seemingly served. Consecutive life sentences were imposed for carjacking, kidnapping, and armed robbery, ensuring Tanzi would remain incarcerated even if the death sentence were overturned. The additional sentences provided a safety net. Tanzi filed a written motion to withdraw his plea, attempting to undo his earlier admission of guilt. An evidentiary hearing was held, allowing him to present his arguments. The legal battle continued. The court denied Tanzi's motion, upholding the validity of his guilty plea. The legal challenges were unsuccessful. The path to execution remained clear. Tanzi argued the trial court erred in allowing evidence of lack of remorse, claiming it prejudiced the jury. He also argued the court erred in its evaluation of his history of substance abuse, suggesting it should have been considered a mitigating factor. He was fighting for his life. The Florida Supreme Court upheld the trial court's decision, rejecting Tanzi's arguments. The highest court in the state affirmed the death sentence. The legal options were dwindling. Evidence of lack of remorse was admissible to rebut the proposed mitigator of bipolar disorder, the court ruled. The trial court carefully evaluated Tanzi's substance abuse history, finding it was in remission at the time of the crime and did not contribute to it. The court's reasoning was clear. The admissibility of evidence is within the sound discretion of the trial court, a fundamental principle of law. Lack of remorse is not an aggravating factor, meaning it cannot be used to justify a harsher sentence. However, evidence of lack of remorse is permitted to rebut proposed mitigation, meaning it can be used to counter arguments for leniency. The legal nuances are critical. Tanzi's mitigation witness opened the door to this line of questioning, allowing the state to introduce evidence of his lack of remorse. The state used lack of remorse to rebut the proposed mitigator of bipolar disorder, arguing that his actions were not solely attributable to his mental state. The trial judge instructed the jury that it was not to consider lack of remorse as an aggravator, ensuring it was used only to counter mitigating factors. The legal safeguards were in place. The trial court found that Tanzi had a history of drug abuse and dependence, acknowledging a potential mitigating factor. However, this problem was in remission at the time of the crime, meaning it was not actively influencing his behavior. It did not contribute to the commission of the crime, the court concluded. The timing was crucial. The trial court carefully evaluated this mitigating factor, considering all the evidence presented. Its findings were supported by competent, substantial evidence in the record, justifying its decision. The court's analysis was thorough and well-reasoned. James Dennis Ford was executed in February for a 1997 murder, highlighting the state's commitment to capital punishment. Edward James is scheduled to be executed March 20 for a 1993 murder, further illustrating the ongoing application of the death penalty in Florida. These cases provide context for Tanzi's impending execution. The Michael Tanzi case is a grim reminder of the capacity for human cruelty. The legal proceedings have run their course, and the execution is scheduled. Now, we want to hear from you. Do you believe the death penalty is a just punishment in cases like this? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Subscribe to our channel for more in-depth legal analysis of high-profile cases. Click the notification bell so you don't miss our next video. And if you found this video informative, please give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends. Let's continue the conversation.